Talk about the ultimate utility man. Manscaped is like the Mike Trout of ball trimmers. Do with that what you will. You're going to get 20% off and free shipping with the code Cork'd at manscaped.com. Because of their ceramic blade and advanced skin safe technology, your snags will be reduced with the close shave. The Crop Reviver is a spray on toner for your balls. It's made with soothing aloe and witch hazel extracts that will give your balls a boost. I'm assuming that's a lot like PEDs, but for your balls, performance enhancing ball deodorant. But y'all have seen me smell that before. Literally, I smelt it and like I was a little pregnant. Once again, you're going to get 20% off and free shipping with the code Cork'd at manscaped.com. And make sure you check it out. Love the stuff. Love the smell. They give you a shirt. They give you the briefs. I just wore the briefs last night and I do not regret it. It was like sleeping in a dream.
I was born for this. I was born for this.
Welcome back to a live, well, in person, I don't know if it's live because we're pre-recorded, episode of Cork'd Up. I'm Jess Kleinschmidt.
And I'm Rachel Luba.
We get
Cheers.
to make it in person,
This
Mama.
is the second time ever. This is also our second date.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I was thinking about that. Like, yeah, we're together in person and I forget that we don't do this ever. It's
right.
We can blame COVID for that, but we're back with Cork'd Up, and it's in person at Studio Momentum. What are we calling it? I want to say studio. Studio.
The facility.
Facility.
The facility.
Yeah.
Currently, we can't reveal the name, so Trevor Bauer facility.
The Trevor Bauer facility, and you have your logo over there, the Lubanati. That's still.
It's Luba Sports
It's
logo.
Lubanati. I can't. The Lubanati people are going to love it. We have so much to talk about today. Well, mainly one thing, and that's pine tar in MLB. Why don't you tell the lovely people what our wine word is today?
Our wine word today is going to be sticky.
So you know how it goes. Every time one of us says sticky, we gonna say it a lot today, girl.
Oh, yeah, we are.
You drink at home or wherever you're at. And I got to get drunk at a baseball game yesterday.
How was that?
Fantastic. I was a fan. I did have a little bit of work because Montes got messed up his cuticle,
Yeah.
which we've all been there.
Oh, yes, every girl.
We have all been there. And then Nick Turley was on the A's for 4 seconds, so I saw him, took a picture. But the rest, Mama was getting hammered and watching baseball, which is my favorite thing to do. And yeah, so we also wanted to say thank you to this wine, Greg Vaughn 23 Wines. It's very, very good. Mama gonna get lit today.
Yeah, you are.
I'm actually really gonna do it. I think you're gonna have to babysit me.
yeah,
here in a
Rachel's
little bit.
going to be, I will be the adult.
Yes. Let's
Today?
not push it. Let's not push it.
I mean, yeah.
You'll be the
Try.
responsible,
The responsible
one. We're just
one.
going to put it out in the universe because might as well. We're going to talk about pine tar. We have all kinds of stuff here. This is called, what is this called? Pelican?
This is Pelican Grip. This is some good stuff. I wonder, I'll probably get in trouble for, showing off all the different brands and cool types of sticky stuff that you can have, but this is one of them.
It is one of them.
There are lots.
Yes. Have you heard of Spider? Is it Spider
There's
Tack?
like Spider Tack, there's Pelican
That
Grip.
shit is legit.
I think it's what those weightlifters use, that carry those like hundreds of pound balls or whatever. And I mean, you can put that stuff on your hand and like lift up a brick like that.
Yeah. Well, you know what that's one of those like the strongest men in the world things.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And you're like, this sport is so stupid, but you're on your second hour watching it on ESPN Diocho or whatever it is. It's really good. The reason why we're talking about pine tar is because MLB recently issued a memo to all teams cracking down on doctoring of the baseballs for foreign substances. And it's a very broad statement because it's not just tacky stuff. It's
any
snot,
sort of foreign substance. Yeah. The funny part is that the last several years, this has been something that I know my client Bauer has brought up actually a fair amount, like on social media, and tried to kind of call attention to the issue. And every year, and I worked at the MLBPA, and so throughout this time, I have had specific conversations with people on both sides who have basically said straight up, we're not going to enforce it. Mm-hmm. We don't want to enforce it. The common kind of, I guess, rationale for why they wanted it was because a lot of times hitters think that it's safer for them.
Right.
if a pitcher is using sticky stuff, then they have better control over the ball. And so they're worried, hitters are worried, well, if they don't use it, they're not going to have as much control, and I might get hit with a 100-mile-an-hour, fastball. I think a lot of people weren't really in tune with the actual advantage it was giving pitchers.
Yeah.
However, it's still a rule. It's a rule that both sides have pretty much acknowledged they're not going to enforce. But this year,
yeah. And it's interesting though, because when I first hear about foreign substances, my mind goes to like, how is this actually going to help a pitcher? And I talked to a couple of them earlier, and the benefits, the spin rate, spin efficiency, the grip, of course, is there. And I always think about, when a pitcher's sweaty and they want to grip it, it's one thing. But I'm curious. I mean, they're also going to have these compliance officers there.
Yeah,
to kind of.
But can we talk about how it helps the pitcher for a second?
We can do that. Yes, absolutely. So how would it overall, if I was?
It's going to increase their spin rate.
Uh-huh.
And what it's going to do, I guess to kind of put it simply, is you're going to get the human eye, you're going to see this ball coming at you, and you've got a split second, right, to make a decision where to swing and kind of where it's coming. At the last second, because of the spin, because it can increase the RPM so much, it's going to have this rise and kind of lift to it at the last second. So when you go to swing, you see it coming right here, suddenly it's going to lift.
Right.
And you miss it. And so, if hitters knew, if you could go from batting, 250 to, 300, would you? And I think most hitters would say, yeah.
Absolutely.
But that means, eliminating sticky stuff, pitchers from using sticky stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't help there are certain pitchers where certain types of pitches that they throw, you actually wouldn't want to use it. But in general, it can help most pitchers.
Yeah, and I guess how they're going to try to measure it is going to be numbers, so the StatCast numbers.
Yeah.
But that's what's interesting is, what's the evidence, the evidentiary support? Thank you, Legally Blonde. Yeah, I know that big term. Because I feel like numbers can only say so much, and I feel like we're always trying to better ourselves. So what would that measurement be, I guess? So 2020, you have a certain spin rate. If it were to increase by how much of amount, would that be a radar, like something that would go off? So
the problem, so one of the ways that MLB has said they're going to crack down on it and determine whether a pitcher is using sticky stuff is by looking at their spin rate and the RPMs. And they came out and said they were going to take the pitcher's career numbers and from StatCast and kind of find a career average and then see if there are any spikes. And if there are any spikes, they're saying that they can go back, they can retroactively say, okay, in these games we saw these spikes, there must have been, some sort of foreign substance used, and therefore we're going to suspend a player or whatever. The problem with that is there are players who've been using, how are you going to take career numbers and use that to compare when there are players that have been using it since college?
Yeah.
There are players who've been using it for the last 4 years. There are players who've been using it for the last month, right? So there's no real accurate way by taking career numbers to determine any sort of spikes. Plus, there are ways with training, different, grip strength stuff where you can increase your spin rate. You can train to do that. There have been players on the Astros, I know, when they were kind of accused of it a while back, who've said that it's just about good coaching and you can increase your spin rate. So there's all sorts of ways that you could do it. And so to just rely on these StatCast numbers, there's so many flaws with it. And it's just, you're going to struggle to really find, who's using it and who isn't. Not to mention, I think it's important to just point out that I would say like 90% of pitchers use it in the league.
You gave me the 90%, and I know Trevor he wrote in the Players Tribune that he believes it was around the 70 percentile as far as that pitchers are using this, which is, and things could change over time. But the thing that's interesting is how people geek out over grips when it comes to pitching. And I think we know that's normal. Even from when I threw my curveball at 12, I know gripping was a big thing. Yeah. You see Pitching Ninja, you see Yu Darvish, Pitching Ninja literally has a Momentum podcast dedicated to gripping and stuff like that. So I want to know, how much of that is involved? Because like you see Yu Darvish explaining how he throws one of his secondary pitches, but how much of that gripping substance would actually be involved? I'm not accusing Yu Darvish of using anything, of course. I'm just saying, compared to just using a rosin bag to this, what is the...
I mean, the stick is going to increase it significantly. Again, you can still, there are ways of, varying your spin rate just based on different grips. You also have, certain people, somebody's kind of baseline spin rate might be very drastically different than another person's baseline.
Right.
So when someone without sticky stuff might be sitting at a higher spin rate than somebody who's using sticky stuff,
right,
just to begin with. So, I mean, it's kind of tricky the whole thing just using StatCast is going to be difficult to crack down on pitchers for it. But I think the other problem that they're talking about doing is they're trying to figure out, or they're talking about taking random balls in the game and testing them. And if there's any foreign substance on it, then they're going to, again, retroactively suspend or I think suspension is what they've talked about. I'm not sure what the punishment will be, but there's problems with that. How are you going to be able to tell if there's sticky stuff found on that ball? How do you figure out if it came from the pitcher or did it come from the catcher's glove?
Or there was pine tar on the bat or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because guess what? I mean, if the bat makes contact, it could be from the bat.
Yeah.
It's legal for the hitter to have it on his bat.
Oh yeah,
it's
Matt
illegal.
Olson lathers it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's legal for the catcher to have it. It's legal. How do you know? Are you going to be able to track down exactly where that ball went? And did the third baseman who had it on his glove? Because he's allowed to do that.
I think you kind of just described an appeal process.
Exactly.
That could happen.
There's going to be. It's going to be ridden with appeals and problems and holes in the argument if you're going to try to suspend someone for using sticky stuff.
Yeah.
I think the other interesting part about them deciding to do it is, so initially it was, we're going to turn a blind eye because it's safer for the hitters.
Right.
But in reality, I mean, I think people are starting to see that there's a huge advantage that pitchers get. Some would say more than steroids, or than
I think I remember Trevor saying that. Yeah.
So that was initially, everyone kind of turned a blind eye. But one of the things I know Bauer has said a lot over and over is that it's in the rules that it's forbidden, so it's cheating if you're using it. Now they're saying, okay, we're going to enforce it. But they're enforcing it not because, from what I understand, it's not because they don't want cheating.
Right.
They're enforcing it because, from how I understand it, they want more action in the game.
Correct.
And so they think by doing this, it's going to
benefit the batter?
Yeah, and so allow more contact,
Yeah.
right? Instead of guys swinging and missing. And you're going to have more action in the games. So this has nothing to do with, we want the game to be played the right way, and we don't want, we don't want cheating. It's just that they want more action. To me, though, I mean, the easiest way to handle all of this is just get rid of the rule.
Yeah.
Just let them, or you take the ball, spray it, put it through a machine or something, spray it with a firm grip, so everyone has the same baseball that's sticky enough, and then just let everyone go from there.
Yeah. And that's interesting. And what about the thing that I was curious about was the punishment, because they haven't even decided if there will be a warning or straight up a big discipline. And I feel,
is it going to be as serious as PED? I know.
Right. So it's I feel like, and I don't want to bash what Trevor said, because I don't know the comparison, steroids versus this. I couldn't tell you, but how would they be able to say that? So say, for instance, they're going to have a sticky substance. For me, just as what I'm viewing the game as, I feel like comparing them to steroids is going to be difficult to kind of say. And it's when a guy gets popped for marijuana in NFL, and then he gets in trouble and he gets suspended a certain amount of games or whatever, people are always going to compare that to domestic violence. He got this amount of time. Yeah. So how would they even do that?
I don't think it's going to be to me, it's not going to be nearly that kind of suspension.
I feel like it'll be kind of a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
But a pitcher, how would they do that? Your next start? Because you can't say 20 games, because that's how many starts.
Right. So usually they'll do, a couple starts. But you'll be able to appeal it.
Yeah. Or you have to throw with Crisco on your ball. That's just a great Tuesday night for me.
So you want to know what they actually found too? If you look at spin rates, if you look at the numbers, the RPMs, when you use sticky stuff, I think there's some sort of, so when you start sweating with sticky stuff combined, it creates this like hydroplaning effect on it. And so you not only get, so if this is your baseline, this is your average, what your RPMs would be without it. When you use sticky stuff, it goes up this much, right? As it starts to wear off, or as you start to sweat more and you get more water on your fingers, there's like a hydroplaning effect. So sometimes your RPMs will drop even more than what your average is. So that change will, like the same pitch that's thrown in the same spot could be, if you have the sticky stuff or if you were sweating with it, it would be, the ball could end up here or here. Yeah. And so think like, how do you hit that as a hitter? So there's the like opposite effect too when you use the sticky stuff that dramatically decreases where the ball will go. But I don't know how they're going to handle it. I know if they do try to suspend people or punish anyone, there's going to be an appeal process. Unlike other sports, you can actually still play during the appeal. So you don't have to sit out. It's not like...
So that, I guess I never knew that. Does that actually happen only in baseball?
Yeah. So the other one...
So if NFL, like they were doing an appeal process, they couldn't play. Yeah. Because like Ramon Laureano got suspended technically, but during the appeal he was still playing.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's one of the good things that the MLBPA has, put in or kept in place.
You can kind of strategize it, which is kind of cool. Right. Like have Ramon Laureano sit out when they're playing the Mariners, but when the Astros are in town, dude is playing. Yeah.
Yeah. So during the appeal process, that's one of the benefits of baseball is that you still can play. But it's going to be interesting to see just how it plays out. I have a feeling. I mean, look, I think it's going to be. It's going to be a shit show if they start to enforce it, because the people's favorite players are using it. Yeah. People that no one thinks, but they've been using it forever, right? Are you just going to go and suspend all of them? Yeah. Or are you just going to single out people?
Yeah, it's like how they approach it is going to be interesting, and the measurement alone is going to be difficult, I feel.
So from how I understand it, it's still going to follow the same process of enforcement in terms of the umpires will only check if I think one of the opposing manager asks. So my guess is that's how it's always been. My guess is the opposing managers, or both managers, there's going to be this gentleman's agreement, just as it's been up till this point, where they don't, you're not going to go tell them to go check the pitcher when your pitchers are using it too.
And I hope they keep the gentleman's agreement, because that's the shit that I love. Like, we get it, and I feel like it's not like steroids where it's like that's kind of a dick move. This isn't a dick move for me. This is part of the game, and I couldn't see a casual fan being talked out of the game because in referring to this as cheating. I cannot put that in the same sentence as cheating. I feel like there's an advantage there for sure. Cheating is not the right word I would use.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I think, there's an advantage. I don't know. I struggle with it because I don't think people really appreciate, I think fans are starting to appreciate more and more the advantage that comes with it. But ultimately, all you have to do is just get rid of the rule. I don't think if everyone uses it, everyone's on the same
I agree.
Same playing field.
I agree. And I feel the same way about steroids too. Like if everybody's doing it, like
suck it up. The one thing with that I would say is I can see there's like your actual what it does to your body. Yeah. With steroids, whereas using pine tar is not actually physically doing anything to your health and your body.
For sure. And the thing that I wanted to ask you about, obviously you're a former elite gymnast, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think of like the bars, and they use the chalk and everything like that. First of all, why? What's the chalk for? And does it have anything to do? I mean, we have the resin bag here. Is it rosin or resin? What is it? Resin. I don't know what the hell. I was thinking Josh Rosen. That's what I was thinking of. He could probably use a little bit more than some pine tar help. But when it comes to that, how did that benefit you? And it feels like that was you just dip your hands in there. You're Dominique Mucciano doing it. And it's also kind of sexy too. Like when the girl gets ready, it just reminds me of before a guy goes up to bat. It's like, this is my extra stuff. You just make the clouds smoke, LeBron James that shit, and you Gucci. I don't understand how that's different.
The chalk bucket in gymnastics always turned into, that was when you're trying to buy time for yourself and talk yourself into, if you're scared of doing a skill or something on bars, you just you hang out at the chalk bucket extra long.
That's it. We're about to fuck shit up.
Yeah, or just trying to delay the inevitable. And
I should do that on dates.
Yeah, you just go to
my
bucket.
chalk bucket. Yeah. I'm about to
But you put that on. It helps. So it helps with gripping the bar. But yeah, you usually spray some water if you have grips on.
Okay.
Cake the chalk on, and if you're not using grips, you get the chalk on and it helps you grip. It helps. You use it on the balance beam, on floor, vault, sometimes on your feet, just with sweat, because sweat makes things slippery, so it helps, dry it out, stick it a little better. But obviously this is way more, effective than
it's
chalk.
way more effective.
But you couldn't use that on the bars. You need to be able to spin your hands around it.
Or I even think about something as simple as the thumb grips when you'd have to go through papers and stuff like that. That's kind of considered something extra to use to an advantage, or licking your own finger and doing all that. That was obviously pre-COVID. Kids don't do that at home.
Yeah.
But it's interesting from that dynamic. The last thing I have is timing. Timing seems a little fishy. Do you think the timing has a lot to do with maybe the CBA coming up?
I think it honestly has to do
Collective bargaining agreement for you kids at home, CBA. Thank you.
To me, this is this obsession with baseball trying to make these tiny tweaks to create more action in the game, to make the game a little bit quicker. But all these little things make such a minute difference.
Can you have a drink of your wine? I'm feeling like an asshole. I'm the only one getting drunk right now. And you're
this is being recorded early in the day.
Is it early though?
Yeah.
Is it? What time is it right here? In New York, it's 4 o'clock. We're fine.
We're almost at 5.
We're at happy hour in New York.
Some of us have real jobs. Kidding. I love you.
I talked about balls for 20 seconds at the beginning of this.
I couldn't
do not
this.
say I don't have a real job.
I could not do this job without you. You carry.
Look at Alex's face.
Alec, our producer here is just making fun of us.
Yeah, he's totally.
It's fine.
He's loving it though. He's loving it because he probably gets a ball shave out of this. Who knows?
He's stoked.
He's stoked.
He's gonna have some nice pubes.
Yeah, and if you're sweaty down there, maybe there's some chalk or something that we can touch up. I wonder if they have anything.
Maybe
in here.
they include
I think I just gave them a good idea. Maybe some chalk deodorant to
Sounds awful, but
well, maybe they have to walk up to a chalk bucket before they have to go on a date too.
Maybe.
Especially if they're going to go on a date with me. You got to get your shit together.
So she can go down on you.
Yeah. So she can go down on you.
Okay, the timing of it though, I think it's this obsession with making tiny tweaks to make the game better when they're missing the whole bigger picture.
Right.
This isn't, I don't think this is a CBA issue. This is, again, this is just them focusing on things that, to be honest, I think don't really matter. There are bigger fish to fry. There are huge issues that they could be focusing on.
Right.
To me, this is, I think this is an issue, but just get rid of the rule.
Right.
Because most people are using it anyways. So just get rid of it, because we all know, no one's concerned about, it's cheating, and by trying to enforce this, you don't have a good way to actually enforce it, but by trying to hopefully now create more action in the game, that's silly.
Yeah.
There are better.
Yeah. And it's weird is one of the changes that I was interested in was the shift.
Mm-hmm. What do you got on that?
Here's what's interesting is I was let them move wherever the fuck they want. However, Buster Posey, who I feel is kind of vanilla, made a good point, and he's got Brandon Crawford, who I will say right now is probably one of the better defensive shortstops that doesn't get enough attention.
Yeah.
And I love watching him dive for a play. And so I like when they can kind of, the shifting, I understand that. But also, think about it this way. If you're hitting a ball up the middle, that should be a defensive, that should be a single to me. Unless you have Brandon Crawford or Matt Chapman who can grab anything in the stands. So I get where they're coming from, but I also, listening to certain people say it, even the old school guys, even like Bob Melvin, who's old school, he's embracing a lot of these new changes, which is interesting because the guy's a veteran when it comes to a lot of these things. So I understand where they're coming from. But I feel like a 4-man outfield every time Joey Gallo goes up to the plate, it's a cute, like, overall picture. I really love seeing, like, everybody's in right field when Joey Gallo goes up to the plate. But I also understand.
But to me, that's just, you created an opportunity for someone now to make an adjustment. The players that can make that adjustment when everyone is shifted and they can hit it to the opposite side, like, that's where you have guys who stand out. How can you tell? I mean, can you imagine trying to tell, like Belichick that he can't run certain plays because it's not fair? We got to allow some guys to get through.
I mean,
you use data.
When Matt Olson goes up to the plate and that dude bunts, a part of me inside dies. Because they're shifting against him. They have to shift against a Matt Olson. They have to shift against a Joey Gallo. And a part of me, like, I get it, it's cute. Like, oh my God, he bunted on. But that's also like some Sandlot bullshit. So I understand both sides of it.
Why are you hating on Sandlot? Sandlot's
It's like not even the best baseball movie. Thank you. It's a good baseball movie. It's not the best.
It's my favorite.
Okay.
What's your favorite?
For Love of the Game. Because Kevin Costner with like playing baseball, and they actually stay true to the actual game itself, and there's a love story. R.I.P. Kelly Preston.
I'm still a Sandlot girl.
Is that your favorite baseball movie?
Yeah, probably.
What's your second?
I don't even know.
Because I feel like there's either there's good baseball movies
Yeah.
and then just good like movies that like have baseball involved. Like the premise is the word.
What's the? Why am I blanking on the name of it? But with Durham Bulls.
Oh, Bull Durham.
Bull Durham.
It's like okay. I think that's like an.
Why did I forget the name?
What's that movie with like Bull Durham?
I think it's because I think it's very spot on with how the minor leagues is.
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of like not into it. Susan Sarandon's character was like annoying.
I mean, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
A lot of like
That
character.
Yeah, I feel you.
In general.
Yeah. Well, Mama, we fucking did a live taping.
Yeah, we did.
I need to stop saying live because it's not
In
live.
person.
In person. So cheers to you.
Cheers.
And I love you so much.
I love you
and
too.
I'm so glad we're here together.
Same.